I borrowed your card, only for groceries, my sister said. By morning, $8,700 was gone. Mom shrugged. She needs help, don't be cruel. I said nothing. That night, I made one quiet move. At 6:02 a.m., he opened his account and screamed so loud the whole block heard. I'll admit it, what I did later was brutal. No heads up, no discussion. Just one cold move, executed with the kind of calm you only find when you're completely done. The next morning, my brother screamed so loud the old lady across the street came out in her robe. My mom stood there speechless, her mouth moving but no sound coming out. My sister stormed out of the house with her phone pressed to her ear, cursing up and down like she'd been robbed. But she wasn't the victim. Let's rewind. Just 12 hours earlier, she was at brunch with her friends, clinking champagne glasses. I know because she posted it on her Instagram story, completely oblivious to how transparent she'd become. There she was, fresh nails, new designer sunglasses, avocado toast, and bottomless mimosas. Not even trying to be subtle. And how did she pay for it? Easy. She borrowed my card. Again. I got the usual text at 8:52 p.m. the night before. I borrowed your card, only for groceries. No apology. No explanation. Just that casual tone she always used, like I was the family ATM, and she was just grabbing a snack. The thing is, I didn't even reply. I was too tired. I'd spent that day dealing with a client crisis at work, skipped lunch, and got home past 9. My fridge was empty. The irony hit me later. I hadn't even had groceries myself in over a week. I crashed without checking anything. And then, around 7 o'clock the next morning, I opened my banking app just a glance before heading to work. Balance, $391.20. Before that, over $9,000. I froze. Not because of the number, but because of how fast it had vanished. I scrolled through the charges like I was reading someone else's life. Friday night bottle service at a club downtown. An online shopping spree, Louis Vuitton, Fashion Nova, some weird off-brand boutique. Cash app to someone named Ty Bangers. A $3,500 wire at 2:46 a.m. Uber Black rides across the city. And yes, the brunch from the story, $248, with a 30% tip. It wasn't just impulsive. It was insulting. That money wasn't extra. It was set aside, part of what I used to cover Jake's rent, Marcus's school, and the usual requests that popped up from Mom at least once a week. I did it quietly, without fanfare. Nobody ever said thank you, but I didn't need them to. I was just trying to hold the family together. But apparently, to them, I was a bottomless pit. I got in the car and drove to Mom's. She was watching a morning talk show, drinking her coffee like it was any other day. I sat down, pulled out my phone, and showed her what Kelly had done. Her response? She needs help, Evan. Don't be cruel. That's what broke me. Not the money. Not the betrayal. The shrug. I nodded. Didn't argue. Just stood up, said I had to get to work, and left. I didn't go to work. I went home and logged into every account I had. My bank, my credit cards, the separate savings account I'd opened for Marcus's future tuition. I moved everything. Locked it down. Turned off auto payments. I even removed Jake as an authorized user on the apartment lease I co-signed. At 2:14 a.m., I made one final transfer, $11,000, into an investment account only I could access. It wasn't revenge. It was closure. At 6:02 a.m., Jake opened his banking app. I know because my phone lit up with his name a second later, then another from Mom, and one from Kelly after that. I didn't answer any of them. But I heard the scream from Jake's apartment all the way from my building. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel guilty. The missed calls started at 6:03 a.m. First Jake. Then Mom. Then Kelly 4 times in a row. I didn't answer a single one. I just sat in the quiet, phone face down, drinking the same cup of coffee for over an hour. I wasn't angry anymore. That had passed. I felt nothing. It was peace, actually. The kind you feel when you finally stop giving a damn. At 8:44, I got a text from Jake. What the hell did you do? Rent didn't go through. Marcus's school's calling. You better fix this now. No. Hi. No. Are you okay? Just entitlement, again. Like he forgot every month I covered his rent without a word. Like Marcus's tuition didn't come from the savings I built by working 70-hour weeks while he played the cool dad who didn't believe in 9 to 5s. Like he wasn't living in an apartment I technically co-signed for because his credit was garbage. By 9:12, he was banging on my door like the place was on fire. I opened it slowly. He shoved his phone in my face. Balance, $3.18. His rent was due yesterday. He wanted to know what I did, why I shut it all down. I didn't yell. I didn't defend. I told him the truth, that the support was over. I didn't owe them anything. Especially not after what Kelly pulled. That $8,700? It was stolen. There was no other word for it. He went off. Said I blindsided him, that I was screwing over Marcus just to prove a point. Said I was acting like I'm better than everyone. I didn't respond. I just closed the door. That afternoon, Mom started the guilt campaign. First it was a long voicemail. Then a group text. We need to talk tonight. All of us. No yelling, just family. 7 p.m. at my house. I almost didn't go. But something told me I should, not for them, but for myself. For closure. I pulled up to Mom's around 7:20. Jake's car was already there. Kelly's too. I sat in mine for a second before heading in. The moment I opened the front door, I felt it. Like walking into a storm that hadn't started raining yet. Kelly was pacing in front of the TV. Jake was slouched in the recliner, arms crossed. Mom was in the kitchen, already mid-rant. She didn't ask how I was. She didn't ask why I did what I did. She went straight into accusations, that I was overreacting, that I'd made things worse, that I'd embarrassed them. Embarrassed them. I sat down without speaking. She started listing out everything they now couldn't do. Jake couldn't pay rent. Marcus might get pulled out of school. Kelly had debts and couldn't get another card. Even she, my mother, said she had to cancel a medical appointment because I'd locked the emergency fund I kept for her. I asked her to repeat that. The emergency fund. The one I built up for her. The one she never touched for a doctor, but somehow managed to dip into every time she wanted new cookware or tickets to some concert. And then Kelly chimed in, loud, bitter, dramatic. Said I was cruel. Said I embarrassed her in front of her friends when her card got declined at brunch. Said she was humiliated when Ty had to cover her Uber. I asked her who Ty was. She said, just a friend. I said, cool, maybe he can help her next time she needs $8,700. Jake started yelling again. Said I was acting like a dictator. That this family relied on me. That I should have talked to them first. I asked when, exactly, they ever gave me the same courtesy. When Kelly took my card at 9 p.m. and drained it by 3 a.m., where was the conversation then? When Jake let Marcus's school call me to demand tuition, where was the talk then? When Mom started treating my account like a retirement plan, they had no answers. Then Mom said something that finally pushed it over. This isn't like you, Evan. You've changed. You're being cold. I didn't flinch. I said maybe I had. Maybe being used for years finally caught up with me. Maybe the version of me they liked, the one who said yes to everything and never asked for anything back, maybe that guy was dead. And that's when the door opened. No knock, no warning. Just a familiar shuffle of shoes and the old man's cane tapping against the floor. Grandpa. None of us even knew he was coming. But of course he knew. He always knew when something wasn't right. And for once, someone had shown up who didn't need me to explain everything, because he already understood. When Grandpa walked through that door, it was like time stopped. He didn't knock. Didn't say hello. Just pushed the door open, stepped in, and took a slow look around the room. The air shifted instantly. Kelly froze mid-rant, Jake stepped back like he saw a cop, and Mom stood completely still, like her father had just caught her doing something shameful, which he had. Grandpa hadn't set foot in Mom's house in nearly a year. Said he didn't like the energy, which we all knew was his way of saying he was tired of the freeloading circus. But tonight, he came in like he'd been waiting for this moment. Like he knew it was coming. He didn't ask permission. Just walked straight to the kitchen, took his old mug from the cabinet, still there, dusty but untouched, poured himself a cup of tea from the kettle, and sat down at the head of the table. Like it was his house. Because once it was. Then he looked at me. Just me. I heard what happened. I nodded once. That was all. He didn't ask for more. He turned toward the others, slowly, without blinking, his gaze as sharp as I'd ever seen it. So let me get this straight. He motioned toward the three of them. You let this man cover your rent, pay your bills, fund your lifestyle, and the second he decides he's done being used, you call a meeting? Jake mumbled something, tried to explain. Grandpa cut him off. You sold your power tools to pay for beer, Jake. Don't talk. You're 33, and your son's more responsible than you are. Jake sat down, red-faced. Kelly jumped in with her usual tone, condescending, defensive, loud. Tried to spin it. Said I was dramatic. That it was just money, and I was blowing it out of proportion. Grandpa didn't raise his voice. Just looked her straight in the face. I saw the brunch pictures. The hotel. The bags. The same girl who told me she was broke was out drinking $20 mimosas with people who don't even know her last name. Don't insult me. She went quiet for once. And then he turned to Mom. His daughter. And you? You knew exactly what was happening. You watched Evan drain himself for this family while you called it love. But it wasn't love. It was manipulation. You're the reason these two think they're entitled to his money. Because you raised them to believe Evan owes them something. Mom tried to talk. Grandpa raised his hand. Stop. I don't want to hear it. Then he reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a worn, sealed envelope. Dropped it on the table like a judge laying down a verdict. That's my will. Signed. Notarized. Legal. No one moved. Everything I have, the land in Ohio, the house, the retirement savings, the car, all of it, goes to Evan. Every cent. Jake's mouth fell open. Kelly laughed like it was a joke. You're kidding, right? He doesn't even need it. He's already got money. Grandpa didn't flinch. And that's exactly why he deserves it. He didn't ask. He never did. Then he stood, gripping the edge of the table. You want to know when I made that decision? It wasn't last week. It was 2 years ago. When I needed a ride to the hospital and my blood pressure was through the roof. I called Jake. He said he was busy. I called Kelly. She didn't answer. Evan? He drove 60 miles in traffic and sat with me for 6 hours while they ran tests. And he never once told anyone about it. Mom stared down at the floor. You all forgot something. That family isn't about money. It's about who shows up. Evan showed up. Every damn time. And you turned him into your personal ATM. Then he looked directly at me again. You don't owe them anything, Evan. You never did. You've been carrying this family long enough. If they're angry now, let them be angry. Let them feel what it's like to stand on their own. He turned back toward the door, then paused. And one more thing. If any of you come after him again, if I so much as hear about one of you asking him for a cent, you're out of my life. Permanently. No inheritance. No phone calls. No visits. Done. And just like that, he left. The door shut behind him, and no one moved. I didn't touch the envelope. I didn't need to. I didn't come for the money. I came for clarity. And I got it. Jake stared at me like I was a stranger. Kelly stood there blinking like she'd been slapped. And Mom looked old. Tired. Smaller than I'd ever seen her. They expected me to fold. Again. But the game was over. And none of them had seen it coming. Nobody said anything after Grandpa walked out. You could have heard a pin drop. Jake just sat there blinking, like someone unplugged him. Kelly kept shaking her head like she'd misheard the entire speech. And Mom, she looked like she was trying to figure out how to spin it all back in her favor, but nothing was coming to her. For the first time in a long time, nobody had control of the room. Kelly finally broke the silence. He's bluffing, she said. He's just mad. Then she looked at me. Did you plan that with him? I didn't answer. I stood up. Grabbed my keys and my phone. I was halfway to the door when Mom called after me. You're really going to do this? Let the family split up like this? Over money? I turned and looked at her. It's never just been about money. You made it about control. About expectations. About guilt. All I did was stop playing along. She tried to say something, but nothing came out. Jake mumbled something like, "You think you're better than us now," but he didn't say it loud enough to matter. I walked out. No yelling. No drama. Just quiet. The days that followed felt strange, not peaceful, but quiet in a heavy way. The kind of quiet that tells you something's coming. I didn't hear from any of them until Thursday. That's when Jake started calling from numbers I didn't recognize. I ignored the first two. He left a voicemail on the third. "Hey man. Marcus's school called. They said tuition's overdue and they're talking about kicking him out. You really want to do that to your own nephew? I don't get what you're trying to prove here. Call me back." I didn't. He followed up with a text a few hours later. "Congrats. You're proving your point. Hope Marcus's future is worth it." That one stung, but not for the reason he thought. Not because I felt guilty. Because he still didn't get it. He still thought this was about revenge, not responsibility. Kelly went her usual route. Posted a bunch of vague, bitter Instagram stories. One of them said, "Watch out for family that plays God when they're just bitter little men." Classy as ever. I didn't even react. She could whine to her followers all she wanted. None of them were offering to cover her bills. Then Saturday night, I got a call I wasn't expecting. No caller ID. I ignored it. Then it rang again. Then a third time. I picked up on the fourth. It was Marcus. His voice was quiet and unsure. First thing he asked was, "Are you mad at me?" I told him no. That none of this was his fault. That I hoped he was okay. He told me things at home were tense. Jake was barely speaking, mostly yelling when he did. Said he overheard him calling me selfish, saying I turned Grandpa against them. Then he said something I didn't see coming. "I don't want to end up like him." "How did you avoid it?" That hit me hard. I sat there, staring at the wall, trying to come up with something that wouldn't sound like a lecture. I told him I'd call him back. Because truthfully, I didn't know. I didn't know why I saw the trap and they didn't. Maybe it was luck. Maybe it was just deciding one day that I wanted something more than excuses. Or maybe it was that I got tired of feeling used before it was too late. I didn't sleep much after Marcus's call. I kept hearing that one line over and over. "I don't want to end up like him." That came from a 16-year-old. A kid who'd seen just enough to realize the road his dad was on wasn't one you walk, it's one you slide down. Fast. I wanted to call him back the next day, I really did. But the morning came with a knock I wasn't expecting. 3 soft, solid taps. No banging. No yelling. I opened the door, and there was Grandpa. He didn't say hi. Just nodded and walked in like this was something we'd planned. He carried a brown paper bag in one hand and a worn, heavy-looking folder in the other. No hesitation. Just walked in, placed both on the kitchen table, and took a seat like it was his own place. From the bag, he pulled 2 sandwiches wrapped in foil, a couple of root beers, and what looked like a manila envelope that had been through hell. "You haven't eaten yet," he said, already unwrapping his sandwich. He slid the envelope toward me and said, without even looking up, "It's time to finish this." Inside was everything, full copies of his will, copies of his property deeds, bank account statements, account keys, insurance papers. He wasn't just talking, he made it real. All of it. Ironclad. Then I saw something else. A typed letter creased in half. Dated 8 months ago. "If anything happens to me before I straighten out this mess, Evan knows where everything is. Do not let the others manipulate, threaten, or guilt him into giving away what they never earned." He didn't speak while I read it. Just took slow bites of his sandwich like he'd done this exact thing in his head already, 100 times. Then he looked up. "They're falling apart already." I didn't have to ask who he meant. Jake's trying to get a loan from that cousin in Denver. Kelly's trying to sell off the fake business she started in February to pay off that moron's gambling debt, Ty, or whatever he calls himself. "Your mother's been calling me nonstop." First she cried. Then she begged. Yesterday she threatened to take me to court for emotional distress. I asked if he was sure he was okay with all this. He nodded. No hesitation. I let it go too long. I thought if I kept helping them, they'd grow into the kind of people worth helping. Turns out, all I did was keep them from growing at all. Then he pulled something else from the folder. Not a document. A photo. It was old. Faded. I didn't recognize it at first. Then I realized it was me. Maybe 12 years old, standing on the edge of his land, holding a shovel, covered in dirt, and smiling like I'd just won a prize. The fence project. The one summer I spent at the farm. That day you worked from morning till sunset without complaining once, he said. Didn't ask for money. Didn't expect anything. Just asked what needed doing. That's when I knew. He didn't get emotional. He didn't need to. Before he stood to leave, he paused at the door and said something else I didn't see coming. I know you're angry at Jake. But keep your eye on Marcus. He's got something the others don't. That kid's watching everything. And he's paying attention. Then he left. Around 5:15 p.m. that same day, Kelly messaged me. No apology. No ownership. Just, you happy now? You ruined this family. Grandpa won't live forever. When he's gone, you'll be alone. Enjoy the money. I stared at the screen for a full minute before I closed it. Because she still didn't get it. She never did. They weren't mad that I said no. They were mad that I said no, and nothing happened. I didn't crawl back. I didn't fall apart. I didn't need them. And they finally realized they needed me. Not for love. Not for support. For survival. That chapter of my life, the one where I kept them all afloat, was over. And I was finally writing the next one without their hands on the pen. It's strange how quickly people vanish when they stop getting what they want from you. In the weeks that followed, the silence from my family became its own kind of answer. No apologies. No efforts to repair anything. Just a thick, bitter quiet, like they were waiting for me to change my mind. Waiting for time to wear me down. But I didn't. The messages stopped. The fake emergencies disappeared. The passive-aggressive guilt trips fell off. I had finally become what they feared the most, untouchable. Jake tried one last time. Called late one night, around 1:30 a.m. I let it go to voicemail. He sounded tired. Beaten. Said he was losing the apartment. Said Marcus was moving in with his mom for a while. Then he said something unexpected. I didn't know how much you were holding us up until you stopped. That message stayed on my phone for a while. I didn't respond. Not because I didn't care. But because I knew he didn't really mean it. Not yet. He wasn't sorry. He was desperate. Kelly went dark completely. Deleted her social media for a bit. A mutual friend told me Ty had ghosted her after she tried to put one of her handbags up for sale and got flagged for using a stolen card. Not mine, apparently someone else's this time. She was spiraling, but that wasn't my problem anymore. Mom, though, she surprised me. A month later, she showed up at my building. No call. No warning. She didn't even make it to the elevator. I saw her through the lobby cameras. She was holding an envelope, same kind Grandpa had given me. I went down. Met her in the lobby. We didn't hug. She handed me the envelope. Inside was a handwritten letter. No demands. Just memories. She talked about when I was 8 and broke my arm and she slept in the hospital chair for 2 nights. About how I used to leave drawings on the fridge. About how she didn't know when she stopped being a mother and started acting like a debt collector. And at the very end, she said something I hadn't expected to ever read from her. I was wrong. You were never the problem. You were just the only one who kept showing up. She didn't ask for money. Didn't ask for anything. She just asked me not to disappear completely. I didn't answer her right away. I went upstairs. Sat with the letter. Thought about everything. The years I'd spent cleaning up their messes. The guilt I'd carried. The times I bent over backwards thinking maybe this time it would earn me peace. And then I made a decision. I didn't go back to them. But I didn't vanish either. I kept my distance. I kept my money. I kept my peace. Marcus started calling more often. We talk about school, books, basketball, random stuff. Nothing heavy. But one day he said, I think I finally understand why you stopped helping everyone. I asked him what he meant. You didn't stop helping. You just started helping the right way. And he was right. I wasn't done helping people. I was just done helping people who didn't want to help themselves. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel guilty for saying no. It's been quiet lately. No drama, no new fires to put out. Just the slow, steady return to a life that feels like mine. Then, out of nowhere, Kelly showed up. Not at my place. Not with a message or call. She showed up at my job. I was walking out of the building around 6, headphones in, when I saw her leaning against the side of the parking structure, arms crossed, sunglasses on like she was waiting to ambush someone in a Netflix drama. My first instinct was to turn around and walk back in. But she spotted me. She didn't say hi. Didn't apologize. Just said, "I need 5 minutes. Not for money. Just 5 minutes." I stood there. She looked different, tired, thinner, less sure of herself. No expensive bag. No fresh manicure. She'd been humbled, whether she wanted to admit it or not. So I gave her 5 minutes. She told me Ty had left. Took her credit cards, ran up some debt, then blocked her. Said she'd filed a police report but wasn't expecting much. She was couch surfing now. Staying with a friend of a friend. No job. No backup plan. But then she pulled something out of her bag. A printed certificate. It was from a community college. She'd enrolled in a night course for business fundamentals. Said she didn't know what she was doing, but she figured she had to start somewhere. I didn't say much. Just nodded. She looked at me and said, "I know I was awful to you. I don't expect forgiveness. But I wanted you to know I'm not proud of who I've been. And I'm not asking for help. I'm just asking for a chance to change it." Then she left. No hug. No drama. Just walked away. I don't know if she means it. I don't know if it'll stick. But it was the first time she came to me not asking for something, but offering something, accountability. And that alone was a twist I didn't see coming.